Alright YouTube, we are back and Randy is just finishing the first step of doing those inside curves, and he has went through about 3 grits of paper over here at this station so far. You know, these sheets cost a little bit, but I think you're beginning to see why and anyone, not just Randy, but anyone who makes these, there's a reason that you pay for them, and they're not $5 a piece. And these little wheels are 3M wheels, and Randy had tried them and he didn't really like the way that they worked, and he said they weren't following the contours. So I said, why don't you take some files and just file, you know, turn the thing on, spin it up, file some grooves in it so that it'll follow the contours, and that has done the job. So moving on from there,
we're going to move to the finer sandpaper.
Now we're going to do, and this is all handwork now.
You'll notice I put my sandpaper over the end of the wheel to follow the shape of the inside curve.
And of course it's going to fit it perfectly because that's where it was ground anyway.
Oopsie.
Even pros drop stuff. And in case you're wondering, Randy works out of Florida, hence the weird flowery shirt and
short pants in November.
Hairy legs in November.
October. I'm sorry.
October, November, whatever it is. And just for those of you that don't know, Randy is my best friend, has been for nearly 40 years. You won't meet or deal with a finer person ever. If it's not right, he'll make it right. But I guarantee you, if you buy one of these from him, it's going to be right to start with, because if it isn't, it doesn't leave his shop. He did a neck knife for a Carter knife that I'm wearing. And you know, I said, that's good enough, that's good enough, and he kept doing better and better. But even when he was done, and I'll show it to you, it looks perfect. This sheath right here, let me see if I can get this off. Sorry, I apologize. This sheath would not leave his shop. This is not up to his standards, but it's a work sheath. It's you know, what I wanted and needed. But you can see, as pretty as that is, I mean, look at the edge finish on that. That is not acceptable, and that would not leave here, except for me as a work sheath. I came down here for 2 days just to help him out, so we're doing what we can do in the time that we have, and I really wanted to videotape him so that you guys could see some of this, not only to see what you get when you order one from him, but if you want to make them yourself. You know, we're more than happy to share any kind of info, or if you have any questions, just you know, put them on the bottom. I'll try my best to answer them for you. But he works basically in Kydex, Holstex, or Bolteron. The sheath that I showed you with the carter is Bolteron. Bolteron's one of my most favorite materials. The Holstex sells really well. It looks great. It's a darn good material. I think for absolute be-all end-all toughness, the Bolteron's probably as good as it gets.
It's just limited in color and finish.
Right, there's only so much you can get, but the Holstex comes in all kinds of colors and patterns. And so now we've pretty much got a finished sheath, so now there'll be a final cleaning. And we'll put this puppy together, and then we will adjust it with the knife for the proper tension. Now, one thing that I'd like to say, and Randy, I believe, includes instructions with each sheath. We send them out tough, meaning that they're a very tight hold. We'd rather that people got them and they're not coming out no matter what. You can easily adjust that with a hairdryer. Just don't overheat it. Pay attention to what you're doing. Follow the instructions that he sends with it, and it's not a huge deal. But a lot of people, just, and myself included, I just leave it as is. See how much came out of there? All of that. If you button that up and then tried to blow it out, you ain't getting it out. This is the way to do it. Go through it, clean it out now. Make putting your rivets in the very last thing that you do. And also with the tape, like is on that blade, that means that this part right here, where the blade goes in, has a little bit of clearance for junk that does get in there. If you just mold it straight to the blade, then you have no clearance for anything. So you want to tape it. Blue painter's tape works absolutely great. Frog tape works great.
Okay. We're going to go to eyelets. I'm using a black clip, so I'm going to use black eyelets.
And you can see he has quite a selection of colors. And washers, posts, screws, boxes and boxes, more Kydex. Stuff's all over the place. It accumulates when you do it as a business. So. Yeah, this tool right here that Randy is going to use now, this set, believe me, if you're going to do Kydex, any amount more than one, they make hand setters and they are absolutely worth it. This will cost you about $100 with the dies, and it is worth every penny. You can see how fast he's setting these, number one, and number two, you will never smear a rivet. I've put thousands through mine. I've never smeared a rivet yet, not one. So if you're going to do it to any extent, and most everything you see is available from the knife supply houses. They sell a lot of this. So now we've got the finished sheath. We're going to check it with the knife and adjust if necessary for the tension. And you heard it. You heard how it locks in. And that's probably pretty good the way it is.
We may end up adjusting after the clip because the screws may pull it down a little tighter.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to use the clip here.
I'm going to back up, guys, so you can see him in the...
This particular brand of clip comes with my favorite of the screws. However, they are so cheap, they only give you 2 sets. So, not everyone gets these. I have some leftovers accumulated. So I put 3 sets on just for a little extra strength.
And that's something else you don't always get other places. Most I've ever bought come with 2, not 3.
I know from prior experience that what I want to use on this is a .187 thick rubber washer. The slotted hollow posts go on the inside of the clip. Flip it over and put a washer on each one.
And if you're seeing the brown on his hands, guys, by the way, Randy and I, neither one are smokers. That's from, we were staining a door earlier today, so that's where that came from. One of the things I was helping him with while I was down here.
Okay, and I'm going to point out here, I've started making a lot of the sheaths wider because I found that I prefer the clip on the back side of the blade rather than out on the edge side.
Mm-hmm.
So I make it wide enough to have the second row. On some smaller knives I do not, and the clip's just on the other side of it.
Yeah, and I think the nice thing is having the holes on either side. If you're going to attach it to web gear with paracord or something like that, you can balance it out a little better.
And you may not can see it with the camera from there, but
We'll come in.
This particular screw that I like so well is just that it has this little bit of a detail. It's not just a dome.
It's a flat
with a bevel, and it makes me think of Art Deco.
There you go. Folks, we ain't nothing if we ain't artistic. Something I'll recommend from my experience, if you get a sheath and once you get the setup where you like it, I would put a tiny drop of blue Loctite. Don't put a lot. Don't gob it on it. Just a tiny dot to hold those in, especially on a survival or wood sheath. I think that's a smart thing to do.
And it comes without it because I know that some people are going to want to convert to horizontal or left hand.
Exactly, and there's no point in Loctiting it in a position you guys may not want. I think you can understand that. And here we are.
Okay, now it's tighter.
Now it's tight, so we can adjust it. And for that, a heat gun at home, I recommend using a hair dryer. Heat guns put out too much heat for someone that doesn't do this a lot. But he's going to heat the throat area and loosen this up just a tad. It takes almost nothing, but a hair dryer will do it just fine, guys. Just fine. And that's pretty much it. There you've seen one start to finish. I'm gonna...
One final detail.
Well, wait a minute, I'm getting ahead. Oh yes, almost forgot. Something you don't get from other people.
Okay.
These are made by Randy in his spare time. There's no charge for these. And he includes one with each sheath. Get a nice little skull bead lanyard, fob I guess I'd call it. And there is our completed sheath. And that's it, guys, start to finish. You now know how. And I'll include links down there to his shop. It's just www.randysknives.com. Check them out. There's a lot there. And I think you'll really like it. So take it easy, guys, and we'll talk to you later.